Thank you, Romy. It is a great pleasure to see you, if virtually, today. Yes, we would much rather meet you here in Jerusalem as we normally do. But we are all aware of the pandemic situation that we have been confronting, and I'm truly happy that we have this virtual alternative. It even has some advantages. As I tape this speech, we expect many hundreds of our governors and friends to attend this session. And this is heartwarming. I will begin by describing to you the current situation and how we deal with the serious challenges that the pandemic brings with it. And yet, we should not lose sight of the bigger picture. The pandemic will at some point go away, hopefully sooner than later. The university is here to stay. We still have to pursue the vision for the future of our great university, and we continue to work very hard to fulfill our dreams. In the second part of this speech, I will describe a bit of what we have been doing to reach our long-term goals. The corona pandemic is with us now for more than half a year. In the beginning, it caught us by a total surprise. It started just before the spring semester of last year. We faced challenges in both teaching and research. Most of the teaching prior to the pandemic was done live. Out of approximately 3,000 courses that we teach across the university in any one semester, only a few dozens were done by remote online methods. Within a week, we had to shift, with very few exceptions, to almost a full curriculum of online remote learning. This required a huge amount of effort by both our academic and our administrative faculty. It also required patience and understanding from our students. I'm proud to tell you that we managed to do it successfully. We have two good indications of this success. The percentage of students that succeeded in finishing the semester was similar to these of past corona-free years. In addition, just as we do every year, we conducted a comprehensive survey of our students at the conclusion of the semester. We were happy to see that the students in this full online semester were as satisfied as in previous years from the teaching. Throughout this time, we also made a great deal of effort to continue our research activities. As you know, each research project usually lasts for a long time, and in many cases is severely disrupted if stopped before its conclusion. At the same time, we were fully committed to strict health procedures. We therefore identified these lines of research that could not be stopped and made every effort to continue them while employing strict health regulations. Lines of research that could be delayed were conducted only during times in which the health regulations were less severe. So, unfortunately, the overall research activity during this time was slowed, but we managed to continue all the research projects that would have been disrupted if stopped. There was another amazing development that took place during this time. Researchers at the university created within days some 60 new independent research projects that were directed at various aspects of the corona crisis. Re'em Sari will describe to you in his presentation some of the highlights of this research. I will just say that we expect some truly groundbreaking results that may benefit society and our fight against the corona to come out of these research projects. While maintaining all these activities, it was vital to make sure that we do not cause infection of the virus. To make sure that there are no health hazards, we established a unit that was in charge of identifying potential infections, doing the required epidemiological investigations, and both isolate and quarantine people if needed. I think we managed quite well. From the very beginning of the pandemic to this day, we are talking about more than 7 months, we only have 2 documented cases of people that got infected within the campus. And in both cases, we managed to contain very quickly the spread of the infection. At present, like the rest of the world, we are still dealing with the challenges of the COVID-19. About a week ago, on October 18th, we started our new academic year. The rector will describe in more details our plans for the academic year. Briefly, we opened the year with full remote online teaching programs. When the health situation improves, we will gradually resume live teaching. It is especially important for us to try and bring new first-year students to the campuses to experience it for the first time. I am sure you understand, however, that we will do it only when it is safe. The good news is that whether we will be able to resume some live teaching or be forced to stay all the way with remote teaching, we are fully confident that all students will be able to complete their studies as planned. As all of you know, the cornerstones of the university were laid 102 years ago as the first Zionist project in Israel. The Hebrew University has a long life expectancy, hopefully as close to eternity as human enterprises can be. I'm saying all this now to remind us that while we are dealing with a very serious crisis, it is a short-time crisis. At some point, hopefully soon, it will go away. So, while we handle the short-term challenges triggered by the pandemic, we should not lose sight of our long-term goals. And indeed, during this time, we continued to pursue our long-term goals. Our vision includes focusing on 4 major categories. Our first goal is to make sure that we have a world-class, top-notch research and teaching. This is our bread and butter. Like all research universities, we are defined by our success in this domain, such as the 8 Nobel laureates and countless other awards and achievements by our faculty and students. In this day and age, part of excellence in both research and teaching involves internationalization. Yes, the international activity is clearly hampered by the pandemic, but long-term-wise, it remains a top goal for us. We are a public university that is funded heavily, if not sufficiently so, by the country. As part of being a public university, we also focus on strengthening our connections with the industry and on being involved in the community in Jerusalem, in Israel, and in the Jewish world. Research is about pushing the envelope of knowledge. This is done by our faculty members in their individual labs, in libraries, and in various other means year-long. In addition, we identify research topics that we think are important and develop them even more by establishing research centers in which groups of researchers work together, often with multidisciplinary approach. This is absolutely vital for major discoveries. The pandemic did not stop us from building and expanding our special research centers. Let me review in brief 2 of them. You probably all heard about our new Computational Medicine Center. This center is in a way a marriage of medical research with computer science and big data. Why is it so important? Medical research progressed very impressively in recent decades, but the most challenging, debilitating diseases are still with us. When a drug is developed for a particular disease, it helps some patients, but does not help others. The major reason for that is that these debilitating diseases are caused by numerous components that often include many different proteins and different types of genetic components that interact in complex ways to create such diseases. One needs to examine simultaneously many patients in order to identify different types of patients within a particular disease. Over the last few years, it became possible to address this complexity by our new developed knowledge of analyzing very large medical data sets and connecting them in novel ways to medical research. This type of research, which we call computational medicine, has a huge potential to provide remedies to many of the diseases that so far eluded us. We at the Hebrew University are fortunate to have all the expertise for computational medicine. In fact, some of it was even used in some of the corona research projects that Reem will talk about later. The pandemic did not stop us from continuing to build the center in the Ein-Kerem campus near the Hadassah Hospital. On the other side of Jerusalem, in the Mount Scopus campus, we are building a center for digital humanities. A lot of research in the humanities is done by analyzing texts. Digital humanities aims to add another ingredient to this research. With this research, we can digitally scan huge amounts of text, and then we can focus on keywords or key concepts and find commonalities that are very difficult to do manually. We believe that digital humanities will augment the time-honored research done in the humanities and may add new insights to some of the basic questions asked in the humanities. We recently received a generous donation from the Alfred Landecker Foundation in Germany and built a new center for digital humanities. So far, I talked about research centers that were already established. I want also to tell you about a new center that we are about to establish, the Center for Sustainability, Environment, and Climate. I do not need to tell you that the climate on this planet is changing. We are already at the sad stage that we see it every day. This might be the most challenging issue that will be faced by the human race in the coming decades. This is a very broad issue that involves many dimensions. One can think of climate research, one can think of new technologies for producing food, one can think of alternative methods of energy and sustainability, one can think of the social and legal issues that are involved and the policies that may be required for it. The planned center will put all of these research perspectives and researchers under one roof and will enable us to develop a comprehensive and integrative approach that will help our country and the world in confronting the biggest challenge of the next generation. There is also an applied aspect to the climate and energy crisis. What you see in the picture is an aerial view of our Mount Scopus campus. The blue cells that you see are solar panels that were constructed throughout the campus and already save us a lot of energy. Just one word about funding. All these research centers that I talked about and many others are not funded by the government. We need to fund them primarily via philanthropy. I hope that our friends around the globe will help us in this crucially important goal. As I said in the beginning of my speech, in addition to excellence in research and teaching, we are committed to being involved in the community and to strengthen our connections with the industry. I don't have time to describe these activities. I do want to show you two pictures that are part of our resolve to connect with the industry. What you see now is a picture of our planned industrial park for high-tech, nanotech, and biotech companies that we plan to build in the Safra campus in Givat Ram. This plan did not stop during the pandemic. A few weeks ago, we actually started building it. This is a recent picture of the work that has already begun. The first building will be up by 2023, and it is going according to schedule. Finally, I want to end with thanks. Thanks to our wonderful faculty, both academic and administrative, for their outstanding work and amazing commitment during this crisis. Thanks to all the students that understood the challenges we faced and cooperated with us so nicely. thanks to our loyal friends around the world that helped us so much during this time. I'm truly honored and privileged to be the president of a university that has such faculty, students, and friends.